glory in the African Under-17 and the World Youth Championships. The support the Junior Scorpions received was massive, and now Tijan is trying to reciprocate that support and seeking to aid those with potentials to harness them to the fullest. Samuel Ba, Grts.
Well, Iranian nuclear negotiators and those representing the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, plus Germany, say they are hopeful of a deal on Tehran's controversial nuclear program. And the death toll in Latvia's supermarket tragedy hits 53. These and other stories coming ahead after this short break.
Committee of the Miss 22nd July Scholarship Pageant proudly presents the finals of the 5th edition of the Scholarship Pageant, taking place on Saturday, December 7, 2013 at the Benjamin Hall Paradise Suites Hotel. The Scholarship Pageant is geared towards promoting excellence among girls in line with Vision 2020 for sustainable growth and development. The pageant is a display of academic potentials, talent, and beauty. The theme for this year is promoting positive attitudinal change for sustainable development, the role of the youth. Support the Miss 22nd July Scholarship Pageant as the scheme will benefit all and sundry.
The Ministry of Health is organizing countrywide meningitis campaign from the 28th November to 4th December 2013. Persons 1 to 29 years will be vaccinated. Go out to health centers, pantabars, schools, markets and junctions to get your dose. 1 dose is equal to 10 years protection.
Dem leen ngeen pikiir du seytaan du jine jàngoro la suñu biir soo ko yëgee sa yaram bul toog di xaar ab diir di nga fagaroo ngeen faju.
Meningitis.
It's the Block Entertainment.
Meningitis. Anana wulina kele fasitano. Meningitis.
A landmark deal is in sight in Geneva as Iranian nuclear talks look set for breakthrough. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and other world leaders are trying to hammer out solutions with Iran. They want Iran to limit its nuclear program in return for sanction relief. Officials say a deal was yet to be ironed out. We have details in this report.
Has been viewed as a sign that an agreement over Iran's nuclear program is close, but ministers emphasized that a deal is not a foregone conclusion.
There's no agreement yet, and there are still differences to be resolved. That's why we came to Geneva, to do our bit to make sure an agreement can be reached. That's a possibility. There's a realistic chance it could happen, but there's a lot of work still to do.
We're not here because things are necessarily finished. We're here because they're difficult.
Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif has warned that his country will not bow to excessive demands. It's believed a 6-month interim deal is on the table. It would see Iran give up part of its nuclear program in exchange for an easing of sanctions. The heavy water reactor being built in Arak is a key issue. If completed, it would produce plutonium that could be used in nuclear weapons. Ministers want construction to be stopped. But they also want Iran to stop enriching uranium for power stations. That's an issue Tehran has been unwilling to budge on. But negotiators still say the two sides are close to an agreement.
Latvia's president has said that death caused by the collapse of a supermarket roof must be treated as murder. At least 53 people were killed in the incident on Thursday evening. Latvia has announced 3 days of mourning, and rescue efforts continue in Riga as some victims are still believed to be trapped in the rubble.
Residents of Riga and friends and families of the victims kept vigil around the ruined building, while rescue teams continued the grim work of sifting through the wreckage. Almost 2 days after the roof collapsed, hope is fading that more survivors will be found. Officials say about 300 square meters of the store remain to be searched, but it's a dangerous operation and rescuers are proceeding cautiously.
We've reached the most difficult phase of the rescue operation. We now have to clear the part of the building which is still covered by the roof, but the whole construction is fragile. So we've stopped rescue work for a while in order to decide how best to proceed.
Latvia is grieving its worst disaster in more than 2 decades. Police say it'll take several weeks to determine what caused the roof to collapse.
Brainwashing and emotional abuse are words London's Metropolitan Police are using to describe how 3 women were allegedly kept captive for 3 decades. CNN's Atika Shibard has more on that rather disturbing story in this report.
An ordinary house on an ordinary street somewhere in South London. Anyone looking in would have seen a normal family, say police. They won't say where the house is, but for at least 30 years, 3 women were held captive inside, clearly slaves. Not with chains, police say, but invisible handcuffs.
If the people were walking along the street, it might look to the naked eye that they are not controlled. But it's all about psychological control, it's all about threats, and a period of years where there may have been some form of grooming.
The victims, a 69-year-old Malaysian woman, a 57-year-old Irish woman, and a 30-year-old British woman. None of them are related to each other. Police won't give their names, but the youngest is believed to have lived her entire life inside the house, possibly born in captivity, say charity workers. But then the women saw this, a TV documentary featuring Freedom Charity, a group fighting against forced marriage. Charity workers say the Irish woman gathered her courage and called the charity's hotline in secret as the youngest stood guard at the door. It took days of secret phone calls to convince the women to walk out of the house to freedom.
The initial answer is, where are you? How can we find you? They weren't prepared to disclose it because they were too scared to, so it took some time.
But why were the women held against their will for 3 decades, and how were they controlled? Police say there is no indication of sexual exploitation or forced labor. There was physical violence, beatings, police say, but above all, a paralyzing fear of the man and woman seen as heads of the family. Both 67 years old. Neither is a British citizen. Police have refused to identify the suspects and won't reveal how they are related to the victims. Both suspects have been released on bail.
We're talking about a house where there are 3 people held in conditions that we've never seen before. We have dealt with cases where people have been held for 10 years in forced labour situations, but this is actually far more enormous than anything else we've seen.
Is it slavery, brainwashing? Experts say the case is so unique, there just aren't words for it.
The police have described this as a unique case, not domestic servitude, not forced labor, but something else. How would you describe this?
I don't think we've got a term for what it is, actually. I don't think there is a term that I could think of, but I think the invisible handcuff term would be a very clear way of describing what has happened to them.
Police say all 3 women are deeply traumatized and that it will take weeks, possibly months, before they are able to untangle the full story of what happened inside that house, the story of 3 lives lost and found.
Well, time now to take our second break. Sports is next. Welcome back. The National Interdepartmental Sports Association Friday decorated 10 of its delegates who recently participated in the sub-regional pentathlon modern championship held in Dakar. The championship, as we hear in this report by Momodo S. Jallo, saw the Gambian participants excel in the competitions.
Some 10 out of the over 20 National Interdepartmental Sports Association delegates were recently decorated by NISA for their wonderful performance in the tournament, and also coming home with some trophies. The Gambian participants went